Hey, everybody, welcome back to Bayou Time. Harry McCullough here. We're going to spend a little time talk about a cool thing that happens in our community. Remember, first President Bush used to talk about 1,000 points of lights. This is definitely one of those points of light for sure. It's Father Willie Todd's annual grants, and it's one of the better things that he's done around this area. He's been all around at a lot of churches, and everybody knows Father Todd. But here to talk about what he's doing is Amy Poisson. She's the executive director of the Catholic Foundation of South Louisiana. So thanks for being here. And
thanks for having me.
And we all know Father Todd.
How can you not?
Right. So cool. But, maybe we all didn't know that he had these annual grants. And can you talk to me a little bit about where this started from and where the grants go?
So Father Todd is probably one of the most generous priests that I know for sure. Years ago, he wrote a book, and every time he received proceeds from the sales of his book, he put some money away and endowed those assets. We currently manage it. The Catholic Foundation does. And every year he puts more money and more money. And now in his retirement, as he was doing masses and he received mass stipends, he took those assets and put them away and put them in and endowed them so that he can continue to provide funding for schools and church parishes within our diocese for new and startup programs.
So that's kind of new. It has to be a new and startup.
A new and startup. So it's not for consistent funding, but if you want to start something new, let's say a new choir or a new club at school, you can apply to the Father Willie Todd Foundation through our Catholic Foundation. And every August and in September,
he goes over it himself.
He goes over it, and every year he grants out a little over $20,000.
No, I was looking at the
Not
list.
change.
No, this ain't $200. This is $20,000 that he's been able to accumulate and patch together, and and give out every year.
Every single year. I mean, this year we grants out right at $20,000. The largest grant was $2,000. The smallest grant was $500. And it just depends on what the organization asks for. So some of the things they funded. So Vanderbilt starting a new esports program at their school, and he granted $2,000 to Vanderbilt to start an esports program. Now, once the program is up and running, they got to figure out. Right. But he helps them get off the ground.
Well, go down some of the list of some of the startups we'll see this year.
So this year, so I just talked to you about Vanderbilt. Their rival, Edie White, has started a Hope Squad, which is a suicide prevention program. It's just, unfortunately, the world we live in is such a high issue with our children. So that's a really awesome thing. St. Bernadette School is creating a maker's space with some STEM programs within their school. St. Gregory Church is doing it's a program called Day by Day with youth ministry. St. Lucy and St. Luke are doing some education, and St. Luke is actually sending a huge group of youth to the Kajingwa Leadership Retreat, which is specifically for African American ministries. They've never sent their laity to this retreat before, so they're sending them to there. Sacred Heart down in, I think it's either Montague or Pointe-au-Chat. They're creating a 10 Commandment signs outside of their church, so that people can go and do the Way of the Cross during Lent. Science supplies at Holy Rosary down in La Rose. I'm building a fence at St. Mary's. They're one of our most vulnerable schools without a single point of contact. He has his hands in starting so many projects just this year, but he's been doing this for years.
Oh, yeah. No, it's incredible. And we talked, he's probably been at 4 or 5 different churches around here, still, helping out Ladysonburg, where he was doing, some part-time
and his retirement.
Being a church, but he's retired now. So tell me about him. How's he doing? And
he's doing well. So after Hurricane Ida, he had a home down in Berg. Unfortunately, Berg was majorly hit by Hurricane Ida. So he actually ended up moving to St. Joseph's Manor in Thibodeau, where he is loving life. He does mass for them on a regular basis. I'm sure. He knows everybody. So it's almost as much of a social outing for him as it is a living space. But he's doing very well. One of the, although he's retired, he uses technology like the best of them.
Well, yeah, he wrote a book, but yeah, I'm sure he can send out some emails.
He sends out some daily. I love it.
This is what I want. No, and you're right. And he has touched so many people, but I'm sure he's also inspiring other priests, future priests, and lay people to to maybe have a life
So we oftentimes, so much of, at least our foundation talks to people about what their legacy looks like. And this is a prime example of what Father Todd's legacy looks like. Long after he is gone, his funds, his money is going to be continuing his legacy for years in perpetuity and supporting our churches and our parishes right here in our diocese. I don't think I've seen a more beautiful legacy created that he can see in the fruits of the labor today, but is there in perpetuity.
Yeah, isn't that awesome that he can still participate in it? But what a novel idea too, right? He's not just giving it to somebody who's going to get it year after year, but hey, this is a startup for you to get going and then, be part of the deal, right?
Absolutely. He's even gone into the classrooms and been part of some of the programs that they've had in the past and put his hands in the science classes and done some of the youth formation in some of the parishes that he's funded. So it's been a really amazing journey with him. I can't wait to continue this effort. I hope he lives for another 10 years to continue to see this beautiful effort. But we're just so grateful for his generosity.
Yeah, and what a time for it too, right? Right after we've gone through the storm and then COVID and everything that's going on, it's a great time to have assets like that in our community. And like I said, definitely a point of light for our community, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So, can anybody help out with this?
Yeah, if anyone wants to fund his efforts and provide some funding to his foundation, they can absolutely make a contribution to the Catholic Foundation, restricted for the Willie Todd Fund. And he will continue to grant out those assets to startup programs, and know that he's got a board behind him, making sure that these are the good programs ahead.
All right, Amy, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
We appreciate it. All right, we'll be right back with more Bite Time right after this.